Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. So everyone, okay, so prerequisites, very simple. Just open your Figma. I mean, that's as easy as it is. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and, okay, so not this one, of course. Quickly share my Figma. Here you go. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is quickly so that you guys can also follow along with me a little bit. I want this to be as hands-on as possible. You can always, watch it and then do it. You can do it with me. It's all up to you guys. So I'm going to share a quick link in the chat. You can quickly open it and you can click on duplicate. On the top right, you'll get a duplicate. Just click on duplicate and you'll be able to fiddle with it. Okay. But of course, if you're here to just learn, you can just keep watching. So very simple in Figma. Let me just, okay, everyone's here, as you can see. Hopefully nobody can do anything with it. So quickly, I'm going to showcase what I'm going to teach today so that you guys have a good understanding, and then we'll jump right into it. So let me just, okay, I'm not going to make this full screen. I'm just going to do this. So today I'm going to teach you everything from the absolute basics of prototyping, things that we even like non-designers are able to do, product managers are able to do, and then we're going to take it 2 or 3 levels up from there, and we're going to do a lot of cool animations, a lot of cool smart animate tricks, a lot of cool, we might even check out 1 or 2 plugins which will supercharge the way you use Figma. So real quick, let me just quickly define prototyping because a lot of people have different definitions for it. What my definition, which I've used for the past few years has been, is it's designing interfaces which match a final product, which can be showcased to the stakeholders. So it should be good enough that even people who have nothing to do with tech or design can check it out and can understand how the app works. Developers should be able to understand how things work, how one screen moves from one screen to the other, or how the navigation works, even the animations, so that they can implement them inside that application. And it basically creates a consolidated product before production even starts. So today's session, we're going to keep it very simple. Out of all the things that prototyping consists of, we're just going to look at interactions and animations. It consists of a bunch of things. You can even introduce marketing material. You can introduce graphics, things that generally designers don't utilize. Even with high fidelity designs, they tend to keep it towards the end when they're working with other teams. But for now, we're just going to focus on interactions and animations. So we're going to jump right into it. And for the prototype, I already have it ready here. People are still trying to copy because I feel they can't duplicate it. But I'm going to do one thing is I'm going to duplicate this. You guys can keep on copying that. Don't worry. I'm going to fiddle with that. Okay. So here is a simple splash screen, home screen. There are different names you can give it. But for this application, it's a splash screen because this is the first screen you generally see for this application. And it's a mess right now, I understand. I would request everyone to just copy and just leave. Otherwise, we won't be able to proceed. Or you know what, let me just copy all of this over to another Figma file so that, nobody can fiddle with it later on. Yeah, this is what happens, Pranava, when you do things like this. Okay.
I expected this.
Yes, it's common. So I was prepared, anyways.
Yeah.
Thank God I have another file here. And so first of all, let's look at the most basic things a designer should know. I've met designers, I've worked with designers who don't even know this. They just know how to do research, they know how to create screens, and that's it. Don't ask them to do anything else. But if you want to be ahead of the curve, let's begin. So as you can see, the first screen is the splash screen, what I've named it. And from the splash screen, we are going to move to the home screen, which is this screen saying good morning to us. So in this case, we can give a lot of different journeys. The user can can either sign in, sign up. So we'll have to make other screens. But for this case, We're going to say skip. I've given a skip button here. It'll just move to the second screen here. So the very basic, the toddler moves that people do is you click on skip, you go to prototype, which is very simple on the top right-hand corner of your screen, and you add an interaction. It's as simple as that. And this is literally the most basic one here. On click, of course, you can choose to do other things like you can choose whether the person can control this with a key or with a specific command, but here we're just going to do it with a click. And it navigates to. Now, a simple navigation is what we're going to do here. We're not going to add any fancy animations, okay? So here I'm going to navigate to home. And as you can see, a little arrow is formed here, which is fantastic. And we're going to use one of these presets. So conveniently, Figma has some of these presets. Either the screen can move in, it can move out, which would make sense. It can push, slide in, slide out. In this case, I always like something like this to either move in or slide in, because it's a completely different journey the user is going to go into after he goes from the splash screen to the home screen. So it makes sense that a brand new screen just appears. Nothing really moves too much. So in this case, I would like it to either be move in or slide in. Let's go with move in and let's see what happens. As you can see, Figma very conveniently has this little animation at the bottom. If you hover over this, this will animate it. And you can see a little preview. And as you can see, the setting is preset to right to left. Perfect. Move in, ease in, out. I prefer ease in, out because it's smoother at the end and at the beginning. That is why it's smoother in and smoother out. That's how I like to define it. And 300 milliseconds is ideal. Lesser would be really fast. More would be slightly slower. So 300 milliseconds, perfect. And we're not going to take anything else. Let's quickly just look at what we've done till now, and then we can move up a level from here. And if I click on skip here, simple, slides in. Now these are things you'll be able to do in like a couple of seconds. Now, what if I wanted to say auto animate from one screen to the other, or smart animate? You can use them interchangeably. Smart animate is when one screen animates into another state. So in this case, we want things on the screen on good morning to appear from the bottom, kind of slide in from the bottom and animate from the bottom. And we want keep travel and this splash screen to move upwards and just fade away. That sounds fun. So let's quickly try it out. Now, for any screens like this, you will have to prepare them for smart animate. In this case, what I'm going to do is duplicate these so that I can fiddle with it separately. And the same thing works. But what we have to do here is we have to bring in an early stage of the screen. So what I'm going to do is drag across home. And I'm going to copy everything here except the navigation. So navigation also you can add here, or you can just change here when we're going to do it. So I'm going to quickly just select everything till good morning, from the navigation till good morning. And I'm going to place it inside the splash screen. Yeah, it looks weird, but it's going to work out. And while everything is selected, don't deselect it. Don't select anywhere else. While this is selected, hold shift on your keyboard. Everybody has a shift. And just drag it down while everything is selected. If everything is deselected, delete everything, or just say Command Z or Control Z to cut everything out. And I'm just going to move it slightly maybe towards the middle. Perfect. This is absolutely where I want it to be. And since we're doing it at an early state, we want it to be 0% in opacity. Here, as you can see, the layers say, under layer, there is pass through. Right next to it, there's a mixed. It's mixed because certain values might be different, but for now it's okay. We're just going to give this 0. As you can see, it's now gone. And if you want to, of course, kind of fiddle with other states here, you can, but I'm going to go with this. Now, there will be one issue you guys might face. So for that, what we need to do is on the left, you're seeing these layers. Everybody has these layers, and hopefully all these layers on top have been selected. So these layers these layers will basically obstruct all these buttons here because they're invisible, but they're still there. So what we need to do is move all these layers to the bottom. Just drag these below this image layer right here. But don't take it out of the screen itself, the splash screen itself. Make sure that is not the case. Okay, I've done it. You guys don't do it. Perfect. Okay, so just give me a second. I think I have some issue with the power. I'm just going to open the second screen so that I can continue from there. Okay, I'm back up. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I live in Noida. I can't help it. All right. So we're going to go back into this. As you can see, I've moved all the layers to the bottom right here. Okay. And it's perfectly placed. Now, what we need to do is I'm going to move this home aside a little bit because I don't want it to be an obstruction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the splash screen itself. Yeah, it might sound confusing to begin with, but when you get used to it, it's going to be super simple. Duplicate the splash screen by hitting Command D or Control D on your keyboard. And in this case, what I'm going to do in the second screen, I'm going to move this image up. Everything I want to be gone, I'm going to move up. So this keep travel, sign in, sign up, everything, I'm just going to move up like this. I'm going to move skip also towards this and make sure the spacing is more or less correct. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate because it's just a prototype. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make everything vanish here. So again, change the opacity from the right here to 0. Make sure everything is gone. And it's very convenient because the screen is black, just like we wanted the main screen here to be. Okay, more or less. Now, as you can see, everything below this image, this native home indicator, everything here, good morning, all these layers are what we want to move up now, because these are what will now appear, okay? Now, this is second stage of prototyping, guys. So this is where it can get tricky, but stick with me, okay? So here, what I'm going to do is very simply, okay, cancel this. Very simply, just go from the screen, go to prototype, and skip already has this one line going up. We don't want that. So we want to change, we just want to remove the interaction, just remove it. And we want to add another interaction to the skip button at the bottom. And here, again, it's going to remain click forever, probably, navigate to, and we want to navigate it to. It gets confusing with Figma. If you don't rename it, it can get very confusing. So what we're going to do is from skip, there's a little dot here. And it's a quick trick. Just drag the dot right next to skip, take it to the second screen here, to the splash screen, the second splash screen. Now you might ask me, hey Punit, can we rename these screens? When you're smart animating, everything needs to be the same. Screen names, layer names, everything. That is why I had to duplicate the splash screen. Again, we're going to change it from move in to smart animate. Now, this is the fun part. You can say ease in out. For the advanced users, you can always go for a Bezier curve. Bezier curve we won't talk about, but you can always read about it after the session's end. And 300 to 400 milliseconds again is the ideal spot to be in. And as you can see, we now have, oh, okay, now it says drag. So I'm just going to quickly change it to click. Perfect. It's back to normal. Now, hopefully, if we've done everything right, if I click on the play here, the preview button on the top right, by selecting splash screen, make sure, okay, this is a mistake a lot of people make. I make it too. There's a little play button while in prototype. If you're here in the main screen, you can just drag this little play button to wherever you want the prototype to begin from. If you don't do this, guys, you'll end up in your previous screens. You must do this while you're in prototype. Just drag the play button to the new screen. And I'm going to go back to preview, make sure it restarts. I'm just going to start from fresh. And hopefully, if we've done everything right, if I click on skip, okay, it's acting weird. If I click on skip, see, we didn't make it vanished, but we didn't make these visible. So we need to make these visible, make sure the opacity is 100% on this second screen, not for this images, but for everything at the bottom. Everything from good morning to the bottom. I've made sure the layers are, according to what my preferences are here. And as you can see, they've now been aligned. Make sure you align it with the screen. Everything aligns with the navigation and everything is perfect. You can do that. You can change it later. And I'm going to go back to my splash screen now. Restart. And if I click on skip, see, it's smoother, it's better. One thing you can always do for a quick is something that I always do is I move this. If you move this good morning portion on the first screen towards the complete bottom, there'll be a slight delay to when it appears. If it's very close, it might seem as if it's just appearing out of nowhere. Okay, so you can adjust the position of the layers on the first screen. If you move it further away, the timing will be slightly different. If you move it closer to the position you want it to be, the timing will be slightly different. That is how both Auto Animate and Smart Animate in every single tool works. And it's a quick hack, so that's something. Now, before we even move on to the last segment, because I think I only have like 10 minutes. So before we move on to the last segment, I want to quickly also go over overlays. Because overlays can be a lifesaver to everyone, okay? Because these are the quickest forms of prototyping. You can add tooltips, you can add a screen over another screen, you can add pop-ups, you can add a bunch of things quickly with overlays. And also for the people wondering, why am I not touching on toggles and the new features in Figma? Those are available in beta for a lot of people. And even with me, I was having problems accessing it because I'm not in the beta program on this account. So for those who want to check out those new features coming soon, you either have to wait or you can get the beta version of Figma. So apart from that, let's get back to it. So here, I want to quickly have this little screen here, this subscription, as more or less a pop-up or a model view. That's the right term, to appear over the screen. So it gives the user a quick nudge. It says that, okay, these are our plans. If you're looking for these premium features, you can get it. Otherwise, the person can always skip. So what we're going to do is here, there's no, black magic here. It's just going to be super simple. What I want you to do is you can leave it here like this. It's fantastic. Or you can make, a separate screen altogether, but I'm going to leave it at subscriptions. Now, home, I'm going to select here. I'm going to go to prototype again, if you haven't selected it. And here, I am not going to click on any element. I'm just going to add interact just like that. So here, what I want there to be is a slight delay when the user comes into the application. And after the slight delay, there should be this model viewer pop-up. So I'm going to say after delay, and delay could be anything. I'm going to go with 500 milliseconds, which is half a second for those who don't know about it. And here, see, these wonderful options are already here for us. So open overlay is what I want. Now, overlays can also be just simple elements, small, like little tooltips, but here it's an entire screen. Open overlay, simple. And here, of course, I want to select the screen. So what I'm going to do is, rather than doing that, I'm going to drag it to the second screen. And okay, so Figma, this is something that irritates me with Figma, is that you can't drag it later on. It creates a new interaction over it. So we're just going to go with it, cross our fingers, and just say subscription. And here, as you can see, centered, top left, top right, you can, because this is full screen, this is the same exact size. I'm just going to say centered. That's default. Okay. If it's a small model or it's just a pop-up, small pop-up, you can select the position related to the screen here. So centered is fine. Background behind overlay, I don't think we need it, but I'm just going to add it for good measure. Close when clicking outside, don't need it, but I'm going to have it for good measure, but I think we don't need it because there's a skip button here. And instant dissolve, move in. Okay. In this case, I want it to fade in because if it, it moves in from some certain direction, it can throw some people off. So it's for a quick prototype, it's best just to go with dissolve. Ease in out again, 300, 400 milliseconds, whatever you want here. Now I'm going to select home. And as I said, don't make the mistake again. Shift the play button to home here, okay? And the home, the original home. And here I'm going to click on play again and it will bring us here. And see, I'm going to restart so that you can see it again. Restart. Oop. See, I think half a second, it just popped up like this. And to go back, we can just say skip. And skip here is going to be very easy, quicker. Just click on interactions, on click. And here you can say close overlay. Isn't that fantastic? So since this is an overlay, it will automatically close if I click on subscription. So if I restart this, see, appears. If I click on skip, closes, and it's gone now. It won't appear again. That's freaking fantastic, I think. Now, last segment, I think we have like 5 minutes left. I'm going to quickly wrap it up, but last segment is going to be the fun segment, okay? So here, I'm not going to take you too much through it because it's not inbuilt in Figma as of now, but I wanted to introduce it because at the end of the day, your team doesn't care if you've built it in Figma or not. If the prototype is in their hands, it should work, okay? So in this case, what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to go to this little home icon on the top left. I'm going to go to community. And I love the fact that you don't have to download anything else. And inside the community, there's a little search bar. You guys can quickly go to the community. I sure hope you guys know about it. And I'm going to click on animate, or you can click on, yeah. So just click on animate and it should bring up the plugin, which I'm talking about. Plugins basically supercharge everything that you're doing in Figma and they take it to the next level. And Figma, as of now, people compare it with other tools like XD, they compare it to Framer, when it comes to animation. But let's make sure Figma doesn't stay behind. So here, as you can see, Figmotion is a little app here. I'm going to click on it. I've already installed it, but if you guys are new to this, you can install it. It installs in like half a second. That's what I love about Figma. It's all online. And I'm going to go back to my original screen, not the prototype, but the actual home. I'm going to quickly show you guys how to animate anything here, add these amazing After effect-like animations right here in Figma without leaving the screen. Now, Figma, just click on Command P or Control P on the screen and you'll be able to have this little search. A lot of people didn't know it because it's a new feature. And you can just say Figmotion. This is a very old tool. A lot of people have been using it, as you saw, a lot of downloads. And I'm going to click on Open Figmotion. And what you're going to see in a second might be familiar to you if you used tools like After Effects or the bunch of other tools that work just the way this is. I'm going to take this to the splash screen, the original splash screen, or any splash screen in this case. Just close all the pop-ups. As you can see, we have a little timeline added right here. And I bet a lot of you guys didn't know about this plugin. Or even if you do, you haven't used it properly. So a little prerequisite, it is a little buggy. The whole plugin acts a little buggy because, Figma keeps updating, the plugin might not update with it. So what I'm going to do is make sure if something's just gone, something's just vanished from your screen, you bring it to 100% opacity. That's all you need to do. You just need to quickly fix it here while this plugin is active. I'm going to quickly show you how you can animate all these elements. So for example, this screen opens up and you want things to float in, you open an app up, it's just a boring old screen. It doesn't feel very engaging to the users. So in this case, we're just going to quickly animate these buttons and text just to appear from the bottom, just to magically appear here. So what I'm going to do is, here what I can do is I can set keyframes. So if I click on a certain element inside the splash screen, as you can see, I'll just scroll here and voila, there's a little blue circle here. If you guys can't find it, make sure you expand the screen. and you just search for this blue dot here, and it's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly move from one state to the other. That's it. That's all you need to understand with this plugin. I'm going to open group one. And as you can see, we have some properties. And I already fiddled with this before this. So I'm going to delete all these animations here so that I can quickly explain it to you from scratch.
Quick.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I can see it. I'm just going to quickly show how one can do it. Yeah. So as you can see, I've already set this little segment here, the buttons and the text here, to a 0% opacity and brought it down. You guys can do it later. Just quickly see what I'm doing. You can try it later on. And I've already added frames here, but I'm going to remove it for the sake of this. And you can quickly add frames, keyframes. So it'll move from one frame to the other. That's the principle. So you move from the values we need to change here are opacity, and we need to change the y-axis here because it moves up and down. And we're going to drag this little, scrubber here to say 0.4 seconds, 400 milliseconds. And what I'm going to do is I am going to move it up. Okay. I'm going to move this section on the left here on the actual screen up. And I'm going to change elements now. I'm going to change the opacity and I change the Y. So I'm going to add new keyframes. Okay. So in this case, I want to just click on this little diamond here again, and the opacity right here again. So if I go back, as you can see live, it's happening, and it's fantastic how these plugins can just play with Figma like this. So if I bring it to keyframe 1 and I press space, it animates like that. And you can add a bunch of things here. You can change a bunch of, for some things, you can even change things like fill color, letter spacing, if I was editing each one of these elements here. But that's all the time I had. I rushed through towards the end, but this is something you guys can try later on as well. There's a lot of fun you can have with this. So that was my session.
Thanks a lot, Punit. This was really good. I think it really covers all the basics one should know for beginners and how advanced users from Figma can also use it. So really, really thank you. And I have some questions in the Q&A. I'm gonna pick questions which are related to the session. All right. For every other question, you probably can get in touch with Punit on his Twitter. I've posted links in the chat. It's pinned at the top. So please do get in touch with him. Okay. Will you consider Adobe After Effects for advanced prototyping and UI animations instead of Figma, Adobe XD, and other prototyping tools like Principle, Prototype, and Framer?
Okay, so this is a great question because Principle tools like Principle, Framer X, Framer Web is something else, and a bunch of other tools were there. I'm not being able to remember them. These are the OGs of the, especially After Effects. These are the OGs of the prototyping industry before Figma, Smart Animate, Auto Animate came in. But the thing is, they've lost their value over time because tools like Principle, only available on Mac still, expensive for some people, will do exactly what we're doing here, but maybe have a few other features. By the way, Figmotion has things like exporting to GIF. The Framer allows you to do, Framer Web allows you to export to Lottie in a lot of ways. So all these tools already allow you to do so much that I wouldn't, find the time to go to export it to Principle or things like Origami Studio, unless you're creating something very data intensive. Origami Studio, there's, you have Prototype, which is a new player. I worked with them. It's a fantastic tool. It has Booleans, it has data. You can add videos and stuff like that. So until and unless I need to do all those things, fancy stuff, I'm not going to go out of Figma or XD or whatever tool I'm using.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's about it.